So many questions unanswered.
That's just improper.
Yeah.
I'll hack fools to death with a machete, but feeding on rodents.
All right.
That's downright abominable.
I'm thinking, yeah,
Top off the line here.
if there's a plague going on around World War I, I'm thinking this is the Spanish flu in 1918, man.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Well, the most lethal modern plague, I
Yeah.
think, in modern human history.
I'm pretty sure by number of deaths, it's still the deadliest. Like, the Black Plague killed more by proportion of the population, but the Spanish flu, by pure numbers, I'm pretty sure is still the deadliest plague in human history.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's correct.
Yeah.
The scent's trail.
Although right now we're not finding plague victims, we're finding vampire victims. So this guy got munched on too, and not by us.
Okay,
So
we
we're
got vampiric senses.
Fresh, but there is no one in sight.
Follow the killer's trail. So this is the killer's
There
trail.
we go.
Alright, so some very Witcher 3 stuff
here we
going
go.
on.
Where has everyone gone?
I do like this mechanic. Like,
do
Witcher
too.
3 used it, the Batman games used it.
Detective vision was an amazing,
Yeah.
amazing thing
The killer's trail.
in the Arkham games.
Oh, there's a hideout.
I think that might be here.
There we go.
Yep. Here you can spend XP or craft items at the workbench. Okay. Or we can sleep. I don't need to do that right now. Alright, I can craft medical treatments to heal 6 citizens, serums to boost myself,
Interesting.
or weapon upgrades. Okay.
So even though we're a vampire, we can still basically act like a doctor.
Alright, so if I level it up, I can do that. Alright, but I think I need supplies.
Yeah, I don't think we have a lot of crafting ingredients at this point.
Dash refill all, sure. Okay, so that's the mechanic. I like it. It's actually very vampire. Like, we have our place that we retire to when it gets too intense, shall we say. Alright.
I'm guessing we don't take fall damage.
Or we heal from it immediately.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
At last, a little,
Little life.
First people we've met
Good
that
evening,
we
sir.
did not either kill or were
I
trying to
wondered if I
kill
could
us.
offer your
Yep.
help.
Wow, you look like you need a drink.
Yes. I apologize for my outfit. It's been a long night.
No crap.
Been there,
Yeah.
seen that. Don't worry, things can only get worse.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Alright. We're gonna stay
Anybody
business-oriented
entered the
here.
bar recently.
Can't say. Sorry. I spent the night making love to that gorgeous bottle.
I love the design choices even at play in this. Do you see how he's busting out of his shirt?
Yeah.
He's wearing a shirt that doesn't fit.
I don't know and I don't care. This is a free country. People still have the right to come and go, don't they?
Yes.
What's going on around here? It's like everybody is hiding.
You must be new here. Have you not heard about the murders? Everybody fears the return of the sewer dog.
Who is this sewer dog?
It's the local bogeyman. Convenient answer for every crime that happened for decades. You murdered someone, blame the sewer dog, eh?
Okay,
make
so
it
clearly
sound
not
like
just a
it's a
fairy
fairy
tale.
tale.
Yeah.
Clearly a vampire.
People will always believe in monsters. It's easier than accepting their own darkness. We can all be monsters.
Also, very core theme of vampire fiction.
I'll leave you
Yeah.
to your bottle.
The idea that everybody has that in them.
That is another Blake Snyderism, by the way. State your theme within the first 10% of your story.
Spat you out of hell. Can I get you a drink?
No, thank you. I'm not.
Although both Robert McKee, John Truby, and James Scott Bell are proponents of the same thing.
Yeah.
Writing nerdery.
Yeah, it's, I mean, theme is pretty important. It's a super obvious thing to say.
Well, when you think about it, it's the interest and thematic power that drives storytelling across cultures.
Well, look, like, all of the White Wolf books, like, one of the first things they tell you before they
Usually
even tell you how to roll dice, they tell you about the theme.
Every
You know.
morning for the last few weeks.
At length, usually,
Yeah.
too. It's usually not just a paragraph.
Yeah.
Didn't die of flu.
Yep, Spanish flu. All right.
Do the police
Okay.
have any leads on a suspect?
Even before the outbreak, coppers never came round here. We're on our own. People die in these
I love that it's
parts all
also
the
not
time,
afraid to
and
show
no
that
one cares.
London at the turn of the century was largely a shithole. Because it was.
It was. It was. I mean,
Where
it
am I?
was
Where
a
is this
warren
place?
of human
Where my
misery
boss,
for most people who weren't
turquoise
rich.
The last ray of light in this dangerous part of town.
I like him. He's brave.
Scared of what? All the bad shit happens out on the foggy streets. And I never go outside.
So you're
That makes
open
certain
all
sense.
night.
Yep. Figured people might need a place to rest in these dark times.
All right,
I'm looking for
someone.
someone
Alright.
who might have passed through here recently. Wondered if you might help.
It's been quiet tonight. The only other person I've seen went straight up to his
That's a
room.
lead,
Thought it was
ladies and
kinda
gentlemen.
rude, actually.
The other thing we'll talk about is one of the things that
Yeah.
both TJ and I have become quite good at as we've researched to become writers and researched to be able to tell stories is and also I learned a lot about it in law school and my various attorney endeavors. We know how to conduct an investigation. We know how to turn evidence around. We know how to put two and two together.
I honestly learned a lot about it being an
Who is this
RPG game
Yep.
master,
What
and
does
that's
he
something that you'll hear us talk about a lot as time goes on and as
Professor
fiction
or something
becomes
fancy
a
like that.
more
Who's
front-facing
writing
and
those?
central part of LSO.
It would also, you know, what would also be fun. It would
The-
be fun to
yeah.
allow our viewers to witness. You know what? It's just one moment. I'm not a tremendously arrogant guy, but I've got to toot our own horn here. We can play the crap out of some tabletop
We
games.
can.
When we invite
That would-
other people to our games, they usually look at TJ and I like, "Who the hell are these people?"
And I would love to do that. I have the issue where, like, if you look at shows like Critical
How
Role,
long has he been?
True.
as much as great as it is,
Ago,
I
he
feel
didn't
like
say when he'd leave.
I'm not expecting anybody
To do
who
it
is
better.
currently subscribed to this channel, one, to do it better, two, to want to listen to 4 hours a week of us doing, tabletop RPG.
I don't mean doing my take on
right.
Critical Role. I would just like to discuss tabletop role
And
playing
that would be
games
great.
more.
Yeah, no, and
Yeah, I don't have the energy to
when Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition comes out,
to
we'll
meet
probably
this
be talking about that a lot.
because we'll probably be playing it.
Questions?
Just climb the stairs and knock
But yeah,
on the first
that's
door.
another thing that,
I heard him open his window,
being a
so I
good
guess he's still
tabletop
awake.
game master,
And,
a lot of it is about
no funny business.
never leave the players without
respectable
a
establishment.
breadcrumb. Like, if you've ever just left them adrift with, like, no idea of how they're supposed to progress the story, like, I'll come out and say you're doing it wrong.
That's
a lot
fair.
of times I'll try to say, there's
You all right?
there's
Is there any
there's
way I can help
a
you?
million ways
I
to
don't
do
know.
it right, but that's one way to definitely
Maybe
do it
you
wrong.
could just talk
Well,
to
and
me.
I mean,
Maybe
talking
you
about
Yeah.
prefer to
what
stay
I've read
Mhm.
about
More
criminal
brave than
procedure
talking
and
to
studied it
strangers.
in law school,
Yeah.
for jobs, for just my own curiosity. I've studied it. I've interviewed
Yeah.
detectives at length, both for books and for law.
Yeah.
And lead generation is criminal investigation.
Yeah.
If you can't dig up leads and pursue them, you cannot solve a crime. And that's what evidence exists for two reasons: to get a conviction when you get them in court, because what you need to do is you need to have evidence to walk the jury through the story of the case,
Right.
the narrative of the case.
Yeah.
But you also need the evidence to paint the picture that eventually helps you solve the crime.
And like cold cases can be interesting, but like in the context of like if I'm writing a story, if I'm running a tabletop RPG, a cold case is very similar to the point in Helm's Deep
Murders.
right before Gandalf
What can you say
shows
about
up.
them?
Like if you allow a case to go cold,
Drained of
that's
blood.
like that should be an emotional moment right before a breakthrough happens that moves the story along.
What's that?
Right
Like
on.
someone comes in with a tip off the street out of nowhere, and suddenly it's back open.
Well,
again.
and some of the biggest
Sewer dog
crimes, some of the biggest breakthroughs in the history of
Yeah.
criminal investigation have heard because of,
Yeah.
frankly, I'll call them what they are. If you wrote them on paper, like how we caught the Son of Sam killer, if
Yeah.
you wrote it down on paper, and you told it as like a novel to somebody who didn't know this was history, he'd think it was Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
He would, totally. Like, what are the odds that would happen? A
Yeah.
random, anonymous...
Yeah. And I
have
think
you
that
heard about the
that
epidemic?
there's like
Spanish flu.
certain game masters
Killed so many last summer.
try to put too much burden on the player group in terms of, like, they're expecting them to, like, go Al Capone on it. Like,
Yes.
well, if you can't figure out the case this way, then just get him on tax evasion. Why didn't you guys think of that? And it's like, well, because that's not as interesting of a story.
Well,
like,
and one of the other things I love is I love when I play anything modern, even anything sub-modern, that a lot of game masters don't do, and I'll give you credit, you're never one of these guys.
Thank you.
Is laws exist and communities exist. You can't just go kicking down doors and murdering people who the public thinks are upstanding, law-abiding citizens.
Yeah.
The reason you have to solve a crime and catch someone like this sewer dog is because if you, I know he did it, but I have no evidence, I'm going to cut his head off. The world shouldn't respond positively to you doing that, because it wouldn't.
No.
The cops would be onto you.
Yeah.
I'm just gathering information, if y'all can't tell.
Yeah. This is going to be part Let's Play and part podcast. Just for those of you that haven't watched After Dark before.
And we're going to do a companion episode of Talk Shop here shortly that's just about vampire fiction.
Oh yeah.
Look out for that soon.
We have
Actually,
a lot of vampire opinions.
It might even be special edition length.
We have a lot of vampire opinions.
I just want to talk. I didn't mean to scare you.
I'm not afraid, sir. It's just I've other customers to take care of.
I only see one customer.
Oh. Well, yeah, of course.
That is very, very clear indicia of I don't want to talk to you anymore, sir.
Yeah.
Well, and look at him. He's covered in blood.
Yeah.
He's probably deathly pale. Like
Yeah.
these people are probably friggin' terrified.
So let's go see who this fellow that
is a vampire
straight up
is.
to his room. Yeah.
Freeway has several patrols roaming the area.
They do not pursue me.
But they're looking for vampires, and they're most efficient.
Ah.
Lent until the killer has been identified.
I have a common objective, but I require...
I think some disease...
Super vampire senses.
There you go.
You might as well come in, whoever you are.
I was about to say, maybe they should be talking quieter, but then I realized, oh yeah, we're a vampire. We can hear things.
Who are you?
Oh.
I mean you no harm.
So very traditional weaknesses here.
Present yourself.
We're Dracula vamps.
Yeah.
I need a word.
Which is appropriate. If we're talking about Victorian England, religious symbolism is hugely important.
I love this take on the weakness to the cross.
Yeah, I like that we see it how a vampire would see it. Like, it's a big deal. Yeah.
Rather than just it
like
burning
that.
when Angel or Spike touches it.
Yeah. We get to see how this would feel to have this in our face.
The other thing I like is what a great way to show us that this guy, at the very least, knows his junk.
Yeah.
And is about to drop some knowledge on us, I'm pretty sure.
And who might you be?
You first.
Tell me, who are you?
First, tell me what you want. Then I may tell you.
Okay, so he's no rube.
He's competent.
Yes.
He knows how to deal with the vampire right away.
Night, pale as a corpse and shaking like a tree. So please, indulge me.
Someone is molested.
I would follow the exact same tack. You don't have any leverage, so you might as well err on the side of honesty.
Yeah.
The calling card of a vampire. Like you.
First time we've heard someone say it.
Is this not... You know what? I think at this point, even a rational man would know this is real. You've killed enough people.
Yeah.
Including your
I've
sister.
been hunted down in the streets and attacked. I'm a victim here, too.
I believe you.
Then if you are not a vampire, who or what are you?
Dr. Edgar Swansea of the Brotherhood of St. Paul. I'm performing an independent
Okay.
investigation
Okay,
here.
so he's
in an
tied to the
attempt to
church
understand
somehow.
Precisely what is going on.
But he's a scholar. He's not immediately like, you have to die.
What have
All right,
you
I'm gonna
uncovered
find
concerning
It's
the
worth
murders?
finding out everything
Oh, yeah.
he knows.
It started a few nights ago. Rumors of...
So we have a vampire serial killer, and that's probably who turned us.
Shall we say
Probably.
somewhat unsavory. But this is different.
How different?
A vampire is at work.
I'll
That's
So-
a whole historical tangent I could go on too on why
It must be brought
docks
around
and shipping areas became like the rough part of town.
Go on that
So
tangent.
much
We've
of
got
the,
some information.
Yeah, like 19th and early 20th century. Well, I mean,
heard
it's
another voice.
Got some dialogue options
yeah. I
to
mean,
pick here.
it goes back to
ridiculous.
as far
No idea
as
what you're
when
talking about.
ports were slave
Something
markets.
tells me.
Yeah.
You know, way back in the day.
And the
Actually, in the early 1900s, it wasn't even that long ago.
And what exactly
The
is
Atlantic slave trade only ended in, I want to say,
Sir, if the name's not
1793 or
familiar
something
to you,
like
then
that.
we
I'm
shall
trying to remember
discuss
when.
it another time.
I'm trying to remember what the exact year the U.S. discontinued the importation of new slaves. I want to say it was the late early 1800s. But
Then help me find the
um,
culprit.
yeah, it's always kind of
If you'll
been the
first tell me
place to
why
look
you
for
opened this
people
door.
who are,
I followed a trail.
you know, they're unbound from a locality, and so they're not necessarily as concerned about a local, you know, local laws, because they can get on a boat and be gone if they want to, and that's why they've kind of been a rough and tumble place. Great place to recruit pirates, great place to recruit toughs or mercenaries,
A shadow, indeed.
because it's, you know, it's where you're going to find a lot of people who have options to
Leave.
get out of Dodge easily.
Back in a day where if you
Yeah.
got 100 miles away,
Well,
that was the
they would
equivalent
never
of
find you.
that was the
They would
equivalent
never
of
find you.
scot-free.
Yeah.
I will find the
Yeah.
monster. He is mine.
All right.
You do any better
So
than I.
he's gonna be an ally.
Yeah.
Let me ask
It
you
looks
this.
like.
What are your intentions if you find the killer?
I'm gonna put a stake through his damn heart.
I'll end him.
I like this. I like that we're
I can
we're
only wish
able
you
to
good
define
health.
our character in certain
And
ways.
pray we shall meet again.
Well, I mean, at this point, I think narratively, especially if we're thinking of this in a novel structure terms, I still blame this guy for the death of my sister.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, also, I'm gonna steal this dude's stuff. All right. I love that games just still let you do that.
Yeah.
That is something that will never go away, and it's a mechanic that to this day makes no sense. I'm in your room, you're watching me, but I'm gonna just take
Well,
your
here's
money.
the thing. It's very much it's very much a video game trope that comes from like the idea of a video game as a dopamine dispenser.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, I got a shiny.
I have a
Like
few
that's
questions.
what that's for, you know.
Well, if you must.
So here's the thing. I got the impression this is an observant waitress.
She knows
I spoke
what's
to
going
Dr.
on.
Swansea.
I agree.
He's not the man I'm looking for. Now I want the
Just
truth.
a woman with her eyes open.
What do you
Here,
mean?
I
I'm also
suspect
very
that someone
curious
else was
that
here tonight, and I don't think Tom wants to tell
yeah,
me.
he was talking to a female, you know,
If Tom says
voice.
you're the only visitor we had, then you're the only visitor we had.
Yeah.
I can feel
And we don't know
your
who that
fear,
was.
madam. Please tell me what's going on.
Yep, we got her.
It's Will.
William Bishop.
William Bishop.
Yeah.
He came in here earlier tonight.
Another lead.
Well, I thought he was going to clock
Leads are
someone.
good.
Yeah.
Leads are good.
I really like the music in this game.
Oh,
by
it's
the way.
beautiful.
It reminds me of the
His eyes.
Cello. A lot of cello.
it reminds me of the Robert
He must
Downey
have caught
Jr.
someone
Sherlock
awful.
Holmes movies, which I actually really
Shouted
enjoyed.
and cried.
Brianna did as well.
Oh my goodness, they're brilliant.
Yeah,
A game. Here's the thing too. A Game of Shadows, the
Mhm.
second one, is as rock solid a
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes screenplay as I have ever
I mean,
seen.
yeah, they're more action oriented than
Sure.
the original source material, but I really like the idea that they sold kind of this archetype of a character who's a fighter who's generating successes on his rolls because of his intelligence score, to put it
Yes.
in RPG terms, which I think is something that hasn't been done well that often.
Skin.
So this William Bishop man,
Mm-hmm.
he's a local. He's a local barfly, a wino. But he either has the flu or he's a vamp.
Yeah.
That is the impression I'm getting here. Either has the flu or is a vamp.
Will was a
Speaking of
sailor
which, this is some
who worked at
enjoyable
the
wine.
cannon
This is
factory.
I
delicious.
would buy this again. Yeah.
This is
Nice
delicious.
bloke, really.
No
Um,
sponsorship.
Never
Although
violent.
If
If
Ghost
a,
Runner wants to,
Yeah, if any brand of
Why
adult
not?
beverages that
Tom's
we've
nothing if
featured
not
on our
wrong.
show wants to,
After Will was
I'll tell you.
Sponsored
I'll tell you
video,
what, Ghost Runner. I wouldn't even charge you charge you money. Just send me a case of this crap. This is
it's
awesome.
good stuff.
Will started to get very aggressive.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you. For
1918
I'll be
would
sure
be a
to-
rough place in the principal combatant nations of World War One. That's
Yeah.
another thing to remember too. I think a hint. All right.
Okay, so citizens can give us hints. So it's the select button. Let's
Okay.
say.
As a vampire, you need human blood to evolve. The blood quality bar indicates the XP you'll earn if you feed on this citizen. So the more intimate we get with people, the more we get from feeding on them.
This is almost some like World of Darkness level shit going on.
I like it. All right, so here's what we know about Tom Watts. We know that he knows Sabrina Cavendish, a lot of blood quality, which is going to be tempting.
Yeah.
And used to be friends with Tom and William Bishop. So what I like about this now is what I'm able to do is now I can go confront Mr. Bishop or Mr. Tom with that knowledge. This is unfolding a lot like a tabletop RPG. You're right.
This is very close to how the Circle of the Dragon in Vampire the Requiem works.
Yes.
I can't say I have.
Yeah.
Are you sure no one else came into your
Hey
bar
man,
before
again, taking inspiration from the World of Darkness is nothing wrong with that.
I mean, they've done it the best.
I like this too. When you've got clues, you've got evidence to impeach people. Now I get to go back to this guy and be like, I know something new. Fess up. That's good writing.
But he's not my friend anymore.
I'm liking this quite a bit.
Why lie to me if he is not your friend?
I didn't lie. I said you were my only unannounced customer.
You're playing
and
word
that's the
games, you
truth.
jackass.
Who is he?
William. Just an old sailor who loves his gin too much.
Gin in 1918.
Worked for
Absolutely.
the canning factory before it closed.
I like a good gin and tonic now and then.
Gin and tonic with a little lime juice.
Yeah.
It's one of my go-to cocktails.
We'll have to do a talk shop with some gin and tonics.
I usually go a gin and tonic during the summer with a Cuba Libre is my winter drink, my winter cocktail.
Yeah.
A Mai Tai is my vacation cocktail. Those are my three. When I'm on a beach, it's all about that alcoholic pineapple juice.
You turned me on to the Mai Tai. You know,
They're delicious.
It's a matter of urgency.
I've definitely been converted to the side that, it might be considered a girly drink, but if it tastes good, then fuck you.
Abso-friggin-lutely. I want the cut-up fruit. I want the little plastic sword. I put a little Orgot syrup. Orgot is almond for people who don't know coffee.
Yeah.
In that sucker, in the juice mixture before you add the rum because it lends a very nice richness to it.
Oh man, we could do a whole episode on rums too.
Oh my
gosh, man, I've had some
the history of rum too.
History of rum, and like, if you've only ever had Captain Morgan and Bacardi, like you gotta try some Agricole rums. You gotta try some Solera rums. Like rum goes deep. There's some good ass rums out there.
I'm gonna talk to this guy, and then we're gonna go.
Yeah,
go after it.
You again?
And you're still ugly as sin.
All right. That hurt my feelings, and
I am hurt. I will carry this pain with me. The fact that I am undead, you've added additional angst,
additional pain,
that, which I really didn't need.
I didn't need that right now, brother.
If I'm being totally honest with you.
All right, you know what? Narratively, again, we said we're going to play narratively. Narratively, I am going to not spend my experience. I don't feel like this guy would let the trail go cold another night.
Yeah.
This intrigue. What's been done to me?
So the war isn't over.
Okay,
this is
this is during World War I.
Yep, this is 19... Remember, November 1918 is when the war ended, so the war may very well still be going down. I think it is. That's what all these posters are.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Join the Royal Fleet today.
Today with a dash in the middle. That is indicative of early 19th century British English, or early 20th century British English. Yeah.
So this William Bishop guy is a great lead because as we track him down, we keep finding people who have been eaten.
Yeah.
All right. First, let's examine his outfit.
He tried to defend himself.
No, the other thing I like about this Jonathan character, he notices what I would notice.
Yeah, well,
that's another thing that I like.
He's a doctor, so he can examine wounds and understand things about.
Here's the thing, too, though. Exsanguination, I don't think you need to have gone to medical school to diagnose that in a corpse.
Not necessarily, no. I mean, if it's paper white and there's not a lot of blood around, yeah.
This Bishop fellow is something of a heavy drinker.
It's good to know. All right, we're going to move on.
There are blood splats on the other side of the canal. I must reach that barge.
All right. So we must reach a barge. where, though.
I'm wondering if they adhere to the traditional... Oh, there we go. The traditional vampire weakness of not being able to cross running water. Let's see. There we go.
Okay, that's a hunter. So... I'm going to see if I can sneak up on him.
Is there a sneak button, or do we just
No,
walk?
just be quiet.
Eat him! There we go.
I don't like your kind anymore. They tried.
No.
They tried to hurt me. All right.
It'll be interesting to see when we learn more about their MO, which type of World of Darkness hunters these hunters most closely adhere to.
It is clear. It is clear to me.
Yeah. They seem like kind of working class hunters.
This is not the place for you, sir.
You can't tell what I am yet.
Are you deaf?
All right. Might as well just rush you, brother.
Yeah. That was not a very good hunter, because by the time he realized you were a vampire, he was already basically dead.
You know, the other thing I'm noticing that is
Yeah.
really interesting that we're going to have to think about, that the game's going to make us think about. Man, do you see how much experience I just got from killing those two dudes? 10 points.
Oh, yeah.
So
No,
progression is going to be... Oh, bullets.
Great. Good. I may need a lot of bullets.
There we go.
I feel like I'm back on the front line again.
Back on
would.
the front line again, so he must have been like a combat medic.
Okay, so we can sense things about these guys. 4 types of resistances. Orange indicates high resistance, and or medium resistance. Red indicates high. So this Pruin Brawler, we kind of don't want to take this guy on with ranged weapons over here. We want to eat him, is what that's telling me.
Yeah.
So...
Cross the leash, boy!
I think we eventually get some abilities that make our blood drain do more damage, too.
Alright, I'm going to switch back over to the stake, because I found 2 6ers of...
Yeah, it seems like bullets are at a premium.
Yep,
for
and
sure.
I just used half of my ammo on one opponent, but that's okay.
They sure do hesitate a lot. I don't think they're going to make it far in the vampire hunter career path if they're this timid. Like Marco Herrera would not hesitate this long.
You all will know what that means.
Yeah, he's our, he's kind of, like, in World of Darkness terms, I think he would fit the template of a hunter fairly well, but he's very different from, like, if you've played the Hunter the Reckoning video games, he's definitely not that kind of hunter, where he's just, like, kicking doors in with a crossbow and a torch. No, he's the kind of guy.
You know what I like, to be honest with you? None of our characters are really that kind of...
No, and we've made efforts to that effect.